So good evening from Mumbai to all of you. I'm not sure what the time of the day is over there, but otherwise, good morning, good afternoon to all of you. And welcome to this learning session. It's been brought to you by the Communities of Practice vertical of ICF Mumbai Charter Chapter. My name is Dexter Valles. I am the vertical head of Communities of Practice, and my team is with me. We have Shalini, who is going to be co-host. We have Priyanka,
Hi
who
guys.
also here. We have Nandini, who is a member of every vertical because she is our invaluable tech and admin support. And of course, we have our speaker of the day, Urvi, Dr. Urvi Jangam over here with us.
Hello,
And
everyone.
I see other members of our managing committee, which is Preeti, who looks after DEIB. And I'm sure there are more. Okay, I also saw Aniket, who heads marketing communication with us. There are so many present and past managing committee members here from our chapter. I see people from other chapters as well. So thank you for being here. And just to tell you what's going to happen, today's session earns you 1.5 CCEU, which is something that you will get. We will be posting the link for the CCU as well as for the feedback form in the chat box. But we will also send it to you by email. So if you can't catch it today on the chat box, don't worry, it's going to come to you by email. You will have about a couple of days to fill it up and send it to us, but try and do that by 28th of the month so that we can send the CCU certificate to you by the 5th of next month. So it takes about a week to process and get it through. That should be our timeline.
他就以为是我姐，我姐跟我俩差7岁，他就让我吃了药，吃了1片还是吃了半片。
Okay, thank you very much for muting, Chen. And so as we were saying, the CCUs are 1.5. And well, the topic is a very interesting one. We're going to have an introduction to the speaker, then we are going to go through the flow. In between, we will probably pause, depending on the questions that are coming up, to take a few questions. And we will also take a few questions right at the end, just for you to know that you are not being ignored. You are very much with us. Try not to ask a question by unmuting. Type it into the chat box. We have eagle eyes from our team looking for your questions, and they will select certain questions to ask Urvi to answer them as we go through. And definitely at the end, we will make sure that we have time for a few questions. When you fill up your CCEU form, please mention your name as you would like it to appear in your certificate and also the email address that we need to send it to, right? So don't forget to do that. Well, today's topic is an unusual one, and I guess by the number of you who have registered and logged in, I'm sure you are also very curious to hear more about it. So I'm going to start sharing my screen so that we can then get on with the show. Right, we are.
It's visible.
Yes, now it's visible.
Okay. Looks like my screen wants to get to Urvi's bio first. Now we have this very decorative slide, and you'll see beyond 10 over here because we've completed 10 years and we've named the entire program Beyond 10, which is the next 10 months is going to have a lot happening. And we want to look not at just 10, but beyond 10. So that's the reason why you see Beyond 10. We just had this wonderful in-person event on the 12th of April, just gone by, and we're going to have something coming up in May. So keep your eyes open for that. We have a very engaging personality with us, Dr. Urvi Jangam. And to tell you a little bit about her, she is India's first blind woman to earn a Ph.D. in German studies. And she's a very passionate emerging awareness coach who brings a very unique perspective to the field of coaching. She is the promoter of Adrsya Rasa, a groundbreaking non-visual multi-sensory coaching approach that actually challenges sight-centric perspectives. Now, blending research, creativity, and deeper self-awareness and emotional growth through the richness of the senses, empathy, and imagination, Urvi is going to lead us through how she senses people, because that's the way she has to. And it's something wonderful for us to pick up because as she challenges sight centricity and the judgments and awareness that comes through that, we are also going to learn how we can engage with that very same process and gain something more as coaches and enrich the coaching process. So, just to tell you about the learning goals, I first would like to ask Dr. Urvi to say hello to you briefly, to greet you. Then we will get to the learning goals. My screen seems to be running away. I have not put any timings, but it has a mind of its own. So, Dr.
Thank you,
Urvi,
Dexter.
please do say
Thank you.
hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for such an overwhelming response, and I'm so grateful that this is indeed an international event. There's people from so many countries, and we have field experts, coaches present here. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. Thanks. I think I'll back to you, Dexter.
Thank you, Dr. Urvi. May I call you Urvi during the course of,
Yes,
if
please.
I
That
may
would be
have your
great.
permission? Yeah.
That would just make it, thank
Lovely.
you.
Yeah, because I know you keep telling me that otherwise, but I just thought I'd ask your permission. Okay, so we are going to look at the learning goals. Now, there are 4, and these are the first 2. As you can see, one is to develop that unique perspective to life. And, to make actually, I would not call it a disability. I put DIS into brackets. Your unique ability as the driving force to do something at a much higher level. The second learning goal is to understand the aspect of the integration of Adrsya Rasa, which is non-visual aesthetics, and we're going to talk more about that, which leads us to the third and fourth one, which are actually at the heart of our discussions today and what we can practice as coaches, which is how to challenge the dominance of sight-centric perception and embrace the transformative potential of sensory perceptions, emotional and intuitive engagement, and to understand the 4 elements and components of this Adrsya Rasa, which Urvi is going to take you through to engage the coaching experience and elevate it and empower the process and the people involved in the process. So those are the learning goals we have ahead of us. And so here is something that's a bit of a shocker. It's called coaching blind. Now, I've got Dr. Urvi's permission to use the word blind in the perspective and the context that we are using it today, because I'm sure you will agree with me, aren't we all in some significant way? And the kicker is this: we are often blind because we can see. And because we can see, we bring the judgments of our sight into play and therefore shut the eyes inside the mind. We shut out the inner sight because we have outer sight. Can you say something about this, Urvi?
Yeah, sure. So thank you for that outline, Dex, and the introduction. So basically, we're going to talk about, like, just to brief you, we're going to talk about Adrsya Rasa, non-visual aesthetic perception and non-visual aesthetic pleasure, and how that can be integrated into coaching. And coming to Dexter's point, yes, the inner world actually plays a vital role. So we're just going to look into how we're going to tap a little more into that with the help of our 4 senses instead of 5.
Thank you. So the next slide is an even more interesting one. you talk about the story and the transition. So before we actually get to Adrsya Rasa, can you tell us a little more about what you mean by the story and what is the transition? And I've seen this wonderful quote from you over here.
Well, so yeah, I have well, I started out as a language professional in my career. So everything like at every stage of life, people have kind of my capabilities were questioned, and the mainstream being cited, it was always assumed that my limitation is going to come in my way, and that my disability is going to be synonymous with limitations. And how can someone learn a language, for instance, if they cannot see? Was the biggest question that was posed. So at the age of 16, I decided that, no, I'm going to turn these notions on their head. I think I've been doing that right from my school days because I was schooled in a regular school. My parents really went a great length to, mold me into the individual that I am today, because they had to come up with a lot of innovative solutions like tactile pictures, tactile maps, figures, actual natural experiences, bringing me close to not just my fellow humans, but all the aspects of nature which otherwise might have remained out of my reach. So that's how it all started. And during my PhD, well, before that, even it was a journey which was really difficult because I had to rely solely on like recorded words in order to process the language, which was kind of challenging at the beginning because it's always assumed that only the written word survives and it sustains. So that was the beginning where I started using digital recorders and optical character recognition software. But the highlight of my journey was all my fellow humans who actually aided me to describe images, because as you all know, a foreign language is all about images, PowerPoint presentations, videos, and so on. So that's how I started getting all the visual media described. And then came the part where I had to scan a lot of books and printed materials. So being a screen reader user, I had to scan the tons of books before even I had started with my master's. And there was a lot of, before I could actually read a book, it used to take me like 6 or 9 hours to scan it. So having, mastered that, I went to my next phase, that was my PhD. There, my doctoral study is about Adrsya Rasa, or the non-visual aesthetic experience. So I've added this concept of Adrsya, which, as some of us already know, is non-visual, without the visual sense. And Rasa, as we all know, is essence. So Adrsya Rasa is aesthetic essence or aesthetic pleasure, non-visual aesthetic pleasure. And yeah, we will then see now how I've transitioned into coaching. Now, all of you must be wondering, what is a language professional doing here? So to that, I think coaching really brings something profoundly personal. So I always wanted to get into psychology as a student, but I was denied admission solely on the basis of my disability. So I thought when I experienced coaching, it was like the wow moment for me. It was the aha moment, because I thought, yes, this is what I want to do, and but not just provide space to utilize my speaking skills and verbal skills, but also I would be able to look at human development and reflection from a non-clinical lens. So here I am, trying to integrate my research into coaching and trying to see how I can make impact on my fellow humans. That's a dream.
Hearing your story, Urvi, I mean, we really know how powerful that mantra of yours is, never give up. It makes so much powerful sense now that you've given us a small insight into your life and the challenges that you faced with great motivation, I must say, and optimism. So thank you for sharing that with us. And we are looking at this word, Adrsya Rasa. Can you tell us what is the language of the origin of this word, Adrsya Rasa? Where does it come from?
Mm-hmm. So it's derived from two words, Adrsya and Rasa. Adrsya was saying earlier. Both of them are Sanskrit words. Rasa, as we know, comes up in Rig Veda as well as the Upanishads. It's about, it starts from a lot of different meanings, such as juice, aroma, and so on. But the meaning that is relevant here in this context is that of aesthetic essence primarily. And Adrisha is non-visual. So Adrisha Rasa would be, again, non-visual aesthetic experience or non-visual aesthetic joy, as we may want to call it.
How did you realize that this was the way forward, Urvi?
Well, again, having entered the field of coaching, it's pretty sight-centric, and again, the visual sense is kind of predominant as far as my experience. So I thought maybe I could try and bring in another perspective, a fresh perspective, which may just want to help people look at things from a different lens, because there's so many things that one misses out solely focusing on.
So, you've mentioned a couple of things here, Dr. Urvi. You've talked about something that challenges the dominance of sight-centric perception, and you've also talked about postulating the transformative potential of sensory, emotional, and intuitive engagement. Can you walk us through this, please, so that we can understand it better?
Sure. So, looking at this from aesthetic lens, in Indian or German aesthetics, that was my area of research. The visual sense has always been at the forefront, and all the philosophers, whether German or Indian, have assumed that, whether it's Kant or any other Western philosophers, or even in Indian traditions, it's assumed that the visual sense gains the upper hand. Without visual sense, the aesthetic perception cannot occur. It's impossible. And that was a challenge that I took up upon myself, and I thought I must question this, and I must dig deeper into this, and not exactly prove it wrong, but add another perspective to it, so that it can be viewed from a different lens, so that the aesthetic horizon widens. So that is where it began. And now coming into the coaching context, it's all about tuning into coaching as an aesthetic experience, but mainly from a non-visual lens. So what would happen if you were to shut out the visual sense and focus more on the remaining four senses, that is the auditory, tactile, olfactory, and the gustatory sense? That is what we're going to explore here, and I feel that challenge is definitely worth accepting. And as far as the transformational effect goes, I think we'll discover that in the minutes to come.
Okay, how nice. I think this is really useful to us because we often tend to think that whatever we see is all there is to what one can deal with, understand, make judgments and decisions about. So, and I know we have this whole study of emotional intelligence, and the thing is that how many of us actually bring all of those senses, as a whole person to the coaching table as coaches, because I think the coach is expecting a whole person, not just one small segment called coach or even certified coach who doesn't bring all that. So thank you for taking us through this, and I'm going to look forward to experiencing this. Now, Dr. Urvi, you have put four key components of
Right.
Adrsya Rasa, which is Sthai Bhava, Vyabhichari Bhava, Vibhava, and Anubhava, which we have on the slide in front of us. Can you say more about these? Because these words are not only very interesting, but they're very intriguing.
Mhm. Yes, certainly. So, like all the other, like the classical rasa theory, which most of the Indian readers are familiar with, because we grew up with this almost, and in whichever field we're working in. So, rasa, that is the aesthetic experience, is derived from these four components which are mentioned here. So Sai Bhava means or entails rather the permanent state of emotion. So let's say if we are experiencing or watching something like Romeo and Juliet as a play, so the permanent emotion there would be love, right? And then we have a couple of other emotions. So this emotion of love would be present throughout without any deviation. Of course, there are other emotions, transitory emotions like jealousy, fear, and so on. So it would keep on oscillating between these, but the primary emotion, the undercurrent, still remains the same. And that is how we also have Shringara Rasa, which is love, the parallel of love in the Rasa theory. So in this case, it's the Sai Bhava is the permanent state of emotion is self-reflective awareness and resilience. So now, basically, this is to begin with. As coaches, of course, we all need to be self-reflective. That is a given. We all need to harbor a certain level of awareness. That is absolutely essential. But how does this awareness vary, or what makes this feeling so special? That is what we're going to look at by expanding on the other components. So we have Vyavichari Bhava, which is the transitory emotions. Vyavichari, as most of us know in the colloquial language or some of the Indian languages, has a negative connotation or tend to be used in a negative connotation. But in this case, Vyabhichari means only transient or fleeting. So all the transitory emotions that we would here take into the consideration today would be or are being developed also in the concept. We have hope, disappointment, anger, fear, and so on. So those are the emotions that we all go through before we reach the desired, whatever the emotion. If it's a work of art, then obviously till we reach the permanent state, or in terms of coaching, till we actually get to our goal and the desired emotional state. But of course, as I just emphasized earlier, our basic emotional state would remain self-reflective awareness. Then we move on to the next ones. Those are, I'll quickly go through them, are Vibhava and Anubhava. So Vibhava is basically the stimulus, which would evoke the reaction in the aesthete. So, it could be a word that you read, a literary text, it could be a painting that you see, or it could be anything that basically is an object of aesthetic experience. In the coaching context, it would be more about the goal that is set by the client. So that is going to be our stimulus within the coaching context. That is what would act as a stimulus. Also, the peripheral stimuli, which I would get into later on, which we would also illustrate here, possibly, hope we have the time for it, are also the sensory perception that we experience, both as a coach and as a coachee. So it could be something as simple as the humming of the air conditioner, or the feeling of being cold. I can feel when it's cold on my skin, or someone might just have some familiar fragrances wherever they are sitting, and so on and so forth, which would actually help us to dive deeper into the coaching experience later on. So yeah, these are the basic components, and we will then see how we can actually connect these dots to create a coaching landscape.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Urvi, because these are kind of going like bouncers that are being bowled in the IPL these days. So we're going to wind back a little to just check each of them out separately, because I know you've made very careful notes on each of them so that we can understand and deal with them individually. So I'm going to take you through the Sthai Bhava first, and then the Vyabhichari Bhava. And there's a question I want to ask you about them, but we'll get through that first. So here goes the permanent emotional state, Sthai Bhava, and you've actually put down some notes for the coach and the coachee. So can you tell us a little more about these pointers for coach and coachee? How do we work with this?
Yeah, sure. So I've just divided them into two different perspectives so that it becomes easier for us to dissect these components. So from a coach's perspective, it's all about getting into this mode of self-reflective awareness and actually harnessing it and ensuring that we maintain this throughout. So it's not something that one has to really be compelled to do, but I think we can do that through very basic things that surround us. So, for instance, just to give everyone to get you into the story, I in my original research, I delved into literary texts as my research object, and one of the texts was by Andy Holzer, who was the second blind man to have summited Everest in the world. So when he talks about his experience, the first climbing experience, his mother was his companion, his partner, because no one else volunteered to. No one wanted to take the responsibility of a blind guy. So
Wow.
and whilst he was up there, and he had no idea where he was supposed to go at one point because the only picture that he relied was on the cited, the details that were provided by his cited counterparts. And that was one point where he thought he was in a precarious position, where if his feet were in such a position that he felt that he is in a position with a lot of cups and and vases, and one little nudge, and tumble, they'll all tumble down, basically. That was the kind of feeling which he had. And suddenly he knew that he had to grasp whatever he gets into his fingers. And instinctively holding his body upwards, he could get that, bowl where he could just, with one finger, grab the hold. And suddenly one of the stones was pushed downwards, and he thought, oh my God, my mother, what if it hurts her? But he had to go on. He just didn't have that luxury to lose his presence and, let the mind take control. So I think that is what, the parallel that I'm trying to draw here for all of us is, I think as coaches, we're all at this sharp razor edge where we all, I think, stand on that tectonic shift and like, oops, are we going to, what if we lose our presence? And I would love to hear more from you all on this point later on once we have the time. So coming back to our Sai Bhava, so at this point, it's about maintaining presence, right? So how I personally do it, it's more about getting grounded and getting grounded through stimuli that would hold aesthetic value for me. So, for instance, it could be floor beneath my feet, or the audio olfactory stimuli of the tadka coming from the kitchen, right? I love the sound that it makes. And, followed by the fragrances that all the spices tend to emit. So the example is just which to show you that it helps me get back into the present. So it can be different for all of us. However, the key here would be that it has to transcend the sensory level. So it cannot be anything and every aroma or every audio input that I'm getting. That should be something which is aesthetically close to my heart. That should be something which is possibly forming a picture in my inner eye. So that is how it starts. And then we have the resilience and the adaptability part. So we saw this in, I mean, just the example showed us like how resilient this person was, because if had he given up even in one moment, he would have called upon deaths not just for him, but his mother. So in that same way, I think we as coaches have to be, I mean, we embody that kind of resilience for our coaches, and in which we bear their responsibility as well. So I think this is, I mean, even for learning for me. So I am just learning as a coach how I'm enhancing on this, of course. And for many of us, it's a perspective shift that just try out now that you're sitting wherever you are, in front of your respective laptops, and just shut your visual cacophony and see what you actually um, hear or feel or smell, and just try to feel the shift. I think that's the point where begin. And yeah, as far as the coachee is concerned, I guess it's all about creating that space gradually. So taking the coachee at their pace, of course, the client through the goals, and then gradually getting into that mode where one can ask their permission with their consent to tap into their resources through the core sensory channels.
I think that's very well said, Dr. Urvi. I think the more calm and centered you are as a coach, but aware of your own emotions at play, I think it transfers to the coachee as well, right? I mean, you create a centering and a centered connection between you and the coachee. A very funny visual came to me. I mean, can you imagine if you go to a doctor with some kind of terrible feeling about yourself and the doctor gets more panicked than you? I mean, so obviously, as a coach, we have to be aware of what we are feeling, but we've got to be able to draw it down and center ourselves and be more reflective and resilient with the emotions that are coursing through us. So, thank you. Yes, and sometimes shutting the eyes and letting your feelings course through you and telling yourself that you can do something with that, which is positive, can work a lot. Bring yourself into the moment, because we tend to rush ahead into the future about what could happen to us when we, move from here and go ahead with certain sensing of danger, or what we've been through from the past. And therefore, there's this whole confusion and chaos of emotions that don't allow us to be in the moment. So I think, this leads us to the transient part of emotions, which is your next component, which is Vyabhichari Bhava. And I see here also, Urvi, you've mentioned something for the coach and coachee. Can you also take us through this? And the question I want to ask you, I'll ask it now so that you can tell us later, is do these two, Sthayi Bhava and Vyabhichari Bhava, work in tandem with each other, or they can also be sensed separately?
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Dexter. That was really, you hit the nail there. So I would say that they work in tandem most of the time. So it's not like, that awareness, I'm going to experience it as a distinct emotion, which is just coursing through me all the time. Not always, of course. And mostly they work in tandem. So, it's for instance, if I'm feeling, let's say, I'm feeling a sense of not anger or fear, because then they just tend to overshadow all the other emotions. But let's say if I'm feeling curiosity, yeah, if I start with curiosity. So if curiosity has to gain an upper hand, then there would be other pleasant emotions, right? And which would go in hand with curiosity. So with that having said, we begin, tapping into our situation. Where does the client want to go, and try to explore those aspects. At that point, of course, the awareness is there in the backdrop. It's just it doesn't make itself evident. And I think the shift begins as a conversation develops, as the coaching conversation progresses, and if we come across a challenge or an emotion which is displayed by the client, which is possibly not something that either we're used to handling or that triggers our emotions as well. So in that sense, I think the shift would occur, and it might happen that we just lose this awareness for a moment and then it comes back again. So I would say that they, of course, work hand in hand. But if we go on, if we try to make this aesthetic experience, I wouldn't say a standard method, but at least something that we may want to try, at least to a certain extent, then the reflective awareness, the intensity might just increase. That's what I feel. Because you cannot just separate one from the other. It's like um, just saying that I am angry or I am sad and the rest of it goes. That's not that's
Yeah,
not doing justice to us as humans, right? That would be too monodimensional to
yeah, absolutely.
that. And it's both for the coaches and the coaches, right? So I may have all the emotions or one of the emotions or a combination of anger or disappointment culminating into anger or fear if something goes wrong, as I'm coaching. And with a coachee, it's the same thing. They as the conversation unfolds, it might be a plethora of emotions that may come up. But again, those would be transitory as we actually help the client gain clarity, or provide the kind of required assistance or support
Absolutely,
at
because
the end of the day.
one thing we keep reading and hearing about is that when emotions visit you, they don't come alone. They bring their whole family along, brothers, sisters,
Exactly.
cousins, relatives from all over the place. But it's still the central emotion that tends to be the more permanent one. And all these friends and family tend to visit, say their piece and go away, or diminish, or at least stay a little quiet for the time being. So it's good to know, what is the core emotion you're feeling, and what are the visitors, and do you actually say it loud to the coachee that, I sense that you are feeling this, or do you even share that you are feeling this? Because the coachee may be observing it on you, because our faces tend to show our emotions. So would you kind of declare it to them and say, at this point of time, I'm feeling like this, or this is what I am sensing?
I don't know, because I won't want to tamper with the coach's emotional landscape. That's
Right.
not my place to do that. I'm not a
Mm,
therapist. And B, I wouldn't want to project anything onto the coachee and even make them more complicated. So I would
right.
just possibly tap in gently and ask whether it is something that they are feeling.
Right.
Is it correct, or how would they like to look at it? That's my
I think
start.
that's beautifully said, because we don't want to make our sensory perceptions become overwhelming in the process.
Exactly, precisely.
Wonderful, wonderful. So this brings us to Vibhava, which is the stimulus. Now, there's a very famous saying by Viktor Frankl that says, between stimulus and response, there is a space to pause, reflect, and respond. Dr.
Mhm.
Urvi, how do you perceive Vibhava showing up when you coach?
Thank you for that insight.
Dexter,
Um,
if we have time, I mean, can we ask one question? Because I think to
Yeah,
move.
sure. I think, Shalini, you sensed somebody wanting a question to be
yes,
answered.
please.
Dr. Urvi, can we take a question?
Yes, please.
See, it's the question is there in my mind, and I just thought of asking this since it is related to these slides, and I thought, once we'll move ahead,
Hmm.
I'll lose on it.
Sure, please ask. I'm sure
Yeah.
other people will join you.
Yeah, so what I was curious to know, that since you talked about Sthai Bhava and Vyabhichari Bhava. So to understand this better, for all of us as coaches, do you really mean that Sthai Bhava is like the coaching presence that we like to maintain, and Vyabhichari Bhava is like the kind of biases that we all feel when we enter in the room or maybe during the session, and then how, I mean, those transitional emotions, they come and go, and we, just maybe try to maintain that coaching presence. So, I mean, am I getting it correct, or is there something else?
Thank you for that question. That's really important here at this point. So I would say that, yeah, if I'm talking about Sai Bhava, then it is primarily about presence, yes. But it also goes beyond that. So it's not just being present in the moment. Of course, that is the fundament. I'm not saying that not the case, but it just goes deeper than that. It's also something that helps us to um, transcend that level of just being, not just being here and now, but also whether we are actually attuned to what the coach is saying, and whether we are able to emotionally connect with them at the same time, whether we are able to maintain that objective distance. So that's mainly, I mean, it's not just about being present, but it's also about how do we respond to our clients or coaches, and also how do we handle our own emotions that might be just showing up for us. And about the transient emotions, about the transitory emotions, well, I won't say that they are just biases. So as I was saying, that it's not just about the negative emotions or the biases or the prejudices that we bring up. It's more of the emotion. So if you're getting in with a bias, then what is the emotion that bias is trying to bring up in me? That is what I may want to check, and that is where I said that I would like to tap into an aesthetic experience or a stimulus that is around me to see what emotion, what is it trying to tell me. So it's more like embodied presence, but on a deeper level, so to say, or on a different level rather.
That's a nice word you've used, embodied presence. I have two requests at this point in time that will also help answer Shalini's question and probably other people's questions. Shalini, do we have a lot of urgent questions in the chat box that we need to do? Because I have a suggestion for Dr. Urvi, and we can, keep a track on those questions. Is there something that...
No, we do not have questions in the chat box, so we can move ahead as per.
Okay. So hopefully everyone's therefore enraptured with the process. But please do ask questions, because we're looking forward to clear any doubts. This is such an unusual topic. So you remember, Dr. Urvi, that we were contemplating doing a brief 8 or 10-minute kind of coaching demo to get a feel of Adrsya Rasa, in a coaching engagement. Do you think, I think we were looking at doing it after the 4, but I think at this
But I
point in
think we can
time,
just go ahead and do that now.
should we do it now? I think that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent. So, may I be so bold as to offer to be your coachee?
Please, that would be my honor. So
Okay. So let's look at the time. We have about 10, 11 minutes to 7. So
right.
within this time, we could probably do this. Tell me when you want me to respond, or when we want to start. You want me to
All
take
right.
a deep
I think
breath?
we can start now. Let's not delay it. Let's just jump in so
Yes,
that
all
the
right, all
audience
right.
get the taste
And
of
of
it.
course, this is not a full coaching session, and it's not going to start from the start. We are looking at kind of getting into it and experiencing this Adrsya Rasa's components to whatever extent we can, right, Dr. Urvi? We're not looking
Yes,
at
absolutely.
concluding anything over here. So as a coachee also, I am, willing to accept that kind of small window that we would like to open.
Absolutely. So, Dexter, what's on your mind today?
Oh, there are many things on my mind. One is, the engagement with this session, but if I had to, reflect on something, that I'm kind of stuck with is I've written quite a few books which I wrote during the pandemic and then immediately after that. And I've been telling myself, and everyone's been telling me that, Dexter, you wrote so many books. Now, when's your next book coming out? And believe me, Dr. Urvi, I am unable to get forward to my next book. I have kind of three halfway, I don't even say halfway, I've kind of put on the index because that's how I start. What is the list of things I'd like to talk about? So I've done that for 3 books, but I'm unable to go forward from there. I keep looking at it and getting stuck.
Right. So I hear the word getting stuck, and I can hear the shift in your voice and the energy that's behind it. So do I have your permission, Dexter, for an exercise? Would you be okay if
Oh, of course, yes, absolutely.
okay? So just breathe in once and out.
Mhm.
Now slowly think about what's the first fragrance that is coming to your mind as you talk about being stuck.
Can I mention something that is not a flower?
Yes, of course. It's all, the floor is all yours. It's your playing field.
Okay. Okay, I'm a Goan and this is mango season coming up. So I'm
Yeah.
getting the fragrance of a ripe Alfonso mango, but also the fact that some part of it is a bit rotten. I don't know why, but I'm getting both the mixed fragrance.
Okay. So can you just take me a little ahead? How does that fragrance feel? Is it sweet or sour, or how does the rotten part of the mango feel?
Um,
Is there a stink, or is not? It's not so intense.
yeah, there's more sweetness than stink, but there is a definite stink that can be picked up. It's like when you open a box of mangoes, and I'm probably influenced because I got a box of mangoes today from a friend. When you open it up and then you're looking and getting this wonderful aroma, and then you find one fellow over there which has turned a little dark brown and
Yeah.
is kind of stinking up the place. But you definitely
Right.
have the wonderful sweet aroma, but there is this other aroma that is detracting from it.
Mm,
It's not a bad stink, but it definitely takes away from the sweet aroma.
right. So you said dark brown and and a combination of sweet aroma, but also something which is not that pleasant. It's not an intense stink, but it's not that pleasant.
Yeah.
So, if you were to look into your um, emotional landscape, and if you were to think about what does this, bad aroma in to quote you, how does that feel like? What does it bring it up for you? What do you think is it trying to tell you?
So, I think the main aroma being sweet is kind of telling me that I am happy with what I have. And I'm kind of enjoying what I have. But there is some part of that is striking a wrong chord. Is providing some kind of disappointment to the enjoyment because something is not going well, and I seem to be focusing on that more than the other. I would not say overpowering, but larger powering sweet smell. Does that answer you in some way?
Yes, of course. So if we were to just look at it a little more closely. If you were to hold the mango,
Okay.
yeah, and not look at it, but just hold it and feel the texture of the mango. Feel it beneath your fingers, and then just try to feel the balance, which is how does it incline? Where does it lean? The balance lean for you? You said, how is the texture of the brown part different than the sweeter one?
Actually, yes. The rest of the mango, which is the sweeter smell, is smooth and tight. The brown part, which is one side, in my mind's eye, I see towards the top, the broader side, on a side, seems to be, much softer and kind of has that crumpled feeling, not smooth feeling.
Right. That's interesting. So, Dexter, you said that, you feel the sweeter part, which is more present. And as you explored it on a tactile level, you said that the sweeter part is tight and it feels smooth, whereas the brown part, it feels soft. Yeah. And it also doesn't feel right. So let's take a pause here. You also spoke about, you just spoke about disappointment earlier and something not going right. So let's take a pause here before we dive deep into this.
Okay.
So, are you back? Are we ready to?
Yes, in fact, that pause helped me to visualize a little more.
Right. Mhm.
Should I
May
share?
may I ask you what it was?
Yeah, so, I'm going back to the fruit box, and when I'm trying to relate it to the challenge I just mentioned to you, I think that soft, stinky part is the part that's not working, which I just said, I'm unable to get forward with the books that I want to write, and I'm kind of, stuck somewhere. So that's bringing the disappointment and the stink to what has already happened, which is so beautiful because I have 12 books already, and I'm kind of now mourning over the next two, three books which I want to write. And when I go back to the mango, I know what we do when we actually find a mango like this. We cut off that part and hope the rest has not been spoiled. And then we immediately look for other mangoes that are whole, which is always there. If you don't cry over the mango that is a little spoiled. I don't know what
Right.
that's telling me. It's probably got
Mhm.
some message in it.
And would you like to explore that message, or would you like to take another pause to see how it's looking for you?
Hey, I mean, so, you know, I know I have this underlying emotion of
Mhm.
satisfaction, happiness, and
Right.
I'm trying to deal with what is very real, which is the disappointment. Because if I don't deal with it, I will not get to, past the disappointment to actually writing the books that I want to write. So I'm thinking, forget what's not working, accept what's working, and look for something more that can work. Because sometimes being obsessed with which is the rotten part, you won't go to the other lovely ripe mangoes and enjoy them, or somebody else will come and take them away.
Yeah,
So
Dexter.
that's
There's
what
a
I'm
lot
feeling.
in it. There's a lot in it. You said about forgetting about the bad part and accepting and then enjoying the ripe mangoes. So yeah, I think we'll take a pause here because we don't have the time for an
No,
actual coaching
I
session.
think,
I would love
yeah.
to deep dive into this actually.
You know what?
And there's a lot
Actually,
more to.
I have had a great moment of insight over there, which I wasn't expecting to happen in such a short time. And yeah, I'm sure we can always take this further, Dr. Urvi, with you,
Right.
and you can remember
Would
where
love.
we were. So thank you for that. And thank you for listening in, everybody. Dr. Urvi, tell me from your
Mhm.
4 components, what did you pick up and how do you feel it, worked its way through this 10-minute thing that we did? We are at
I
the
think
moment at the stimulus. So I don't know, do you want to deal with stimulus and response first and
so.
then
Anyone from the
settle back?
audience who would like to take this question?
Yes.
I'm really curious whether,
Hmm.
yeah, what is
So
your
please,
input
please
on this?
unmute, please unmute.
I can see, Dexter, I can see, a message in the box that
Mhm.
from Rajneesh Mathur. Rajneesh is saying, I listened to this conversation with my eyes closed and could feel the non-visual senses in action. So, Rajneesh, could you please unmute and, speak more about it?
Yeah, thank you.
No, but I have just expressed my own experience when I was trying to concentrate and be with the coach and the coachee. What came out loud and clear is that probably most of the times, all of us seem to ignore the non-visual senses. And I don't know, that may be because of the fact that the visual senses are so much active at that point in time. The way Dexter, you described the metaphor that you picked up, the Ratnagiris or the Alfonsos in sync with the season. I thought that was coming up, and then the correlation with your, in fact, for a moment I had even forgotten as to where the conversation had started. But when you correlated the not so good part of the mangoes, I shudder to say the rotten part, with your state of stuckness of writing books. I think that really brought out the insights as a from the coach's side, and I'm sure more than me, you also experienced the same as you shared. So thank you both for bringing this out for all of us.
Thank you, Rajneesh. I'm so happy to hear that. Maybe there are some others also who'd like to say something.
Yeah, so there are 3, 4 comments, and
Okay.
the next comment I see from Chitra Ravi. Chitra, would you like to say anything more on it?
Yeah, for sure, because I thought it was so powerful and intense to actually experience Dexter with the invitation of Dr. Urvi, really contacting various components of the, Adrsya Rasa, really the olfactory, the visual, as well as even the kinesthetic senses were tapped into. And really, I think the way in which Dexter was really holding these elements along with Dr. Urvi on her invitation really got in contact with a lot of meanings that came alive moment to moment. And I think that was really lovely to watch.
Thank you, Chitra, for that. And let's hear from many more people. We would love to hear from you. We will make time for it.
Yeah, so there are more comments. If do we really have time to?
Yeah, let's take 2 more. Let's
Yeah,
take
so
2 more.
so
Yeah.
next is Saraswati. Saraswati is also saying very powerful session. Saraswati, would you like to say it by yourself and unmute? Okay. And we also have comment from Sindhu. Sindhu, would you like to unmute? So Sindhu has written in the comment that this will help to enjoy present moment with fast world. He's there. Sindhu, would you like to say it by yourself? You can please unmute if you are listening to my
I think
voice.
anybody who wants to say something can unmute and say.
Yeah, hello, Dexter. Samant here. I met Urvi in the Bombay chapter event, and after meeting her, and she was listening very calmly and quiet. I twice met her. I shared my card to her also, and then I realized the importance of listening. We are always getting distracted, and what she did it today. I think the present moment is important, because what is the real enjoyment is the present moment. Probably with a lot of distractions and this Google, YouTube, and everything, I think the present moment has become so much rare situation. So I think learning from her is that the life, the way you see at the life, if you are just getting distracted, then you are not enjoying the life. So I think thanks to Urvi that I will record to practice this so that I enjoy those present moments, and then probably I can have better presence with the coaches. Thanks.
Thanks so much. Let's have some others join into your comments as well, and let's hear from maybe one or two more, since we missed out on Saraswati also.
Yeah, who's that?
This is Sonal here.
Yeah, hi Sonal, please go ahead.
Yeah, I absolutely love this visual that was created with the sense of smell as well as the visual of ripe mangoes. So it actually tells me so much about the whole process of writing the book that Dexter is actually going through. That the ideas are ripe, it's there, present. Yes, at the same time, there is something that is like not required, and he's mourning something. So I absolutely love this, and I am how do you say, floored. And I, as somebody said, I was also listening to this session with my eyes closed so that I could actually be present and go through the mango energy. So I wanted to congratulate Dr. Urvi for creating this experience for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All of
Thank
us
you.
have tasted these seasonal mangoes, Urvi.
And I have a question for Dexter. Dexter, what is it that needs to be cut and thrown away? If you would be like kind to write it, I'm also willing to understand that part, because this is so profound about the whole process of writing, in one switch, like we have the whole picture that this is what is happening to Dexter.
Yeah. No, I think, the rotten part that is troubling me, it should
Mhm.
not become the whole part. So I have to get past it, throw away what's troubling, start with something new, something fresh, something more wholesome, and then come back to what's left, or, enjoy what's left rather than, being obsessed about what is not working. I think when we really eat mangoes, we quickly decide to throw off the bad part and get on with the good part. But somehow in life we get obsessed with the bad part, and I think that's what I've been doing. With what is disappointing me. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Dexter, and thank you so much, Dr. Urvi. This is a tool that
Thank
I'm going to use very avidly.
Thank you.
I'll just switch this seasonal fruits, but I'll keep the two. Thank
So
you.
we have Vibhava, the stimulus
Right.
slide
Right.
on screen.
So
How do we deal with this?
yeah, so getting back to your question, Dexter, thank you everyone. Thank you for your insightful comments. And I'm really glad that you actually tuned in to the experience. Thank you. It really means a lot. So coming back to your question, Dexter, the stimulus, as we all saw, is primarily the goal that is being set by the coachee, right? So in this case, it was about writing a book, or possibly, because I don't want to frame it, because we didn't come to that part where, I could actually confirm whether it was about wanting to overcome the writer's block, or, I'm just assuming it now. For now, so we can just, let's say, about writing a book and the feeling of being stuck. That was the goal, exploring that feeling. And our transitory emotions, of course, as you all experienced, it was mainly about disappointment and feeling of being stuck. Yeah. Anything else that you would like to add to it, Dexter? Have I missed out on anything?
Yeah, I think frustration, irritation,
Yeah.
impatience, and
Right.
slight anger towards myself, and probably being irritated by everybody who's asking me what's happening to your next book.
True that. So these are all the emotions that we have experienced here during the conversation. So these are the transitory emotions. But as you all saw, the underlying emotion, which was the self-reflective awareness. So, and how was it stimulated, or how was it generated, and how was it going to go ahead? Just because we activated the imagination of the client in the non-visual way, and also at a level where they might not be tapping into at this moment. So it is not just a mere metaphor, the mango in this case. It's also about, the object of, how would I say, it's a peripheral stimulus basically, which helps us get to the core. So it's also the object that not only holds the aesthetic value for the client, but it is also something that is going to take him closer to his emotions, that would help him actually to tap into his emotions and explore them, dissect them, and see where they're going to go with them later.
Which brings us to Anubhava response of creating that transformative moment, which actually happened. And I was surprised that it happened, that quickly. So that was a really big surprise, because I didn't really expect that we would come to some insight that fast.
Okay. What are the other things? I could hear that tone of your voice shift. I could also feel the energy shift. It started on a slight undercurrent of disappointment, impatience. Then something shifted, but obviously, unfortunately, I didn't have the time to explore.
No, but you noticed right. I mean, because the more I realized, when you gave me that little pause,
Yeah.
I was able to visualize more. I disengaged and re-engaged with what I was seeing, and I saw more. I actually tried to put myself in front of a box of mangoes, and forget why I was there and say, okay, I've got this box of mangoes. One is not so good. What am I going to do with it? What do I normally do with it? And that was like an aha moment. And that's why I told you, I mean, I've actually got an answer, which I said, I'm going to cut this thing off and I'm going to look at other mangoes which are there, which is what I would do before I lose, those lovely good mangoes, or someone else comes and takes them, which means other people's concerns and other people's priorities start becoming my priority, because I'm so overly involved with what's disappointing me. I shift my attention to something else of other people, rather than, shifting my attention to something else which I have, because that's my box of mangoes. And I don't want to give it away yet.
Right. And also there is facial expressions and body language, which of course is beyond my scope as an individual with visual impairment. But I'm sure there are coaches here who have observed that as well, that part as well. So would anyone like to chime in?
Yes, I'd love to hear.
See, there is also a question in the chat box, if I can. And the question is from somebody, I think the person has logged in from Sindhu's ID, but I really doubt the name is different. So if you want to ask, the question is, when I do such exercise, I come into sometimes anxiety that that did I miss to concentrate something else? How to overcome this? So whose question is this? Can you unmute and ask? The question is here from Sindhu's ID.
Okay, maybe Dr. Urvi can answer it in the meanwhile.
Yeah, I think I'll just take that question so that we save on time, if that's okay. In the interest of time, I would just say that you may want to check what exactly triggers that anxiety. It's okay. I mean, it's pretty human, to feel that way. And if you give yourself that permission to feel the anxiety that you're feeling now, would you like to start probably with the way we started with, Dexter started with a mango. So if you were to just start with one fragrance or one auditory input, or even a combination of one of these, or two of these senses, or three for that matter, where is it getting you? What is it trying to tell you? You may want to explore that before you actually try and sit and concentrate. And if it feels too overwhelming, yeah, maybe just trying to, your own ways of coping up with, if it's not working, then I would just let it go for a moment and try it again. There's no harm, right? Till you get comfortable with that moment of being with yourself. That's what has worked for me.
So, Dr. Urvi, could it be that you're saying that ask yourself in a bodily sense, where is this anxiety, for example, showing up? Is it coming with a stiffness in the neck? Are you breathing more rapidly? Are you something like that? And therefore, what would happen if you just had this by yourself? What would you do if you had a stiff neck?
Um, Someone is on unmute, I guess. Could be changed.
And
So-
can we
So
mute
taking
the person? I'm distracted.
We need whoever is on Sindhu's account to mute. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so
So
thank
could it
you.
be that I ask myself, where am I feeling it? And
Mhm.
if I generally feel like this without connecting it to a problem I have, what would I do? And if I had a stiff neck, what would I do? If I had constricting in the throat
Right.
or breathing, what would I do? And are you
Mhm.
saying maybe we can do just those things and it will get us out of this?
Not exactly. I would rather. I mean, obviously, that's a good way to begin, and that's one of the first things that we all want to do to reconnect. So,
Mhm.
but what I'm trying to get at is trying to tap into one of our four senses, or two or three, as you may like it, and then find out what emotion is that sense trying to convey to me.
Okay.
Like the way
What's
you
the-
said, Dexter, with mangoes, when you said
Yeah.
about the mango and then the rotten mango, which brought out
Okay.
so many hidden aspects for you,
Right.
of which basically helped you uncover the aspects which were already there, which you knew, but
Hmm.
it brought about that transformative moment for you, right? So in that similar way, and if that is too much, if that is too overwhelming, one can always start with just basic things like just listening to the birds humming while you're walking on your way to the office or wherever you are, or the
Okay.
fragrance of the flowers, seasonal fragrances of spring that are coming in.
Mhm.
Fortunately, in India, we have so many of them. It's such a rich heritage that we have, and we just tend to overlook that. Maybe starting something as small as the perfume that you like.
Okay, so shift the focus from being obsessed with
Yeah.
the discomfort to something else and then come back.
And then just check out what is it trying to tell you? How do you
Tell
feel?
you.
And then
What's,
we could go
yeah.
ahead from
What's the message in it? Yeah. Okay.
there.
So the message you're saying is don't be obsessed with what is bothering you. Shift to something probably more beautiful or more nice, something that you love, maybe the perfume of your aftershave.
Something that is personally close to you, something that personally has
Mhm.
beholds an aesthetic value for you.
So
So
something
just
that brings
randomly
in.
smelling something is not,
Okay.
or
Yeah.
touching something is not
Got
going to
it.
get me anywhere, right?
Got it. Got it. Very nice. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Okay. So we have done these four components. I want to
Right.
ask you a question about this coaching presence that you mentioned. Managing coaching presence. So does Adrsya Rasa actually help to create and manage a coaching presence, and how would it feel like, this coaching presence? Now, how would you know that, okay, I am managing a good presence, a powerful presence?
Right. So yeah, as we went through this earlier, it is more about grounding yourself wherever, I mean, getting grounded in the present moment wherever you are. So if I focus more on the immediate stimuli around me, so yeah, it could be a cup of coffee that I'm sipping, or the table that I've just placed my hands on. How does the surface feel? Or the floor beneath my feet, how does the texture feel? It just starts from there, and to actually beginning being grounded, to maintaining and elevating it from that level, to go one level deeper than that. And the question, how do I feel it? I think it's pretty intuitive in that sense, and also self-explanatory. So the moment I lose, the moment I lose touch with the floor, I'm like, hey, do get back there. Like a gentle reminder, not even like coaxing myself or forcing myself to do that, but just like a church bell that I would put in the room, saying that, hey, come back to the now. So something like that, but doing that through your own embodied presence, through small gestures, of course.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, thank you for telling us about that. I think we got the drift already, but I just needed to ask you that question. How does coaching presence feel within you?
Yeah.
And you then mentioned something about breaking glass ceilings. What are the glass ceilings you had to break, to get to this point in your life to be a coach from, some of the historical information you gave us about how you had to work your way through this.
Dexter, before we, the Urvi is going to, answer your question. There is a question in the chat box,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think it's related to the coaching process that you guys showed up. So the question is from Deepak. Deepak wants to know, would like to ask Dexter a couple of questions about his experience of being coached using this method.
Oh, okay. So I think it was different, I know visualizations and all take place in regular coaching. I also use it. But there was something about shutting out what you're seeing and only concentrating on the sensory part that was more powerful than when you combine it with the visual. So in many ways, although my eyes were open, I was shutting out uh, what I'm seeing about myself, and actually looking back into my mind and my heart to feel what is it that I'm really feeling. And that, I think, hastened the realization in a very interesting and rapid way. So that's my response to that question.
Yeah, thank you, Dexter. That's my question. I want to ask, see, you started with the book. Urvi caught upon the idea of feeling stuck. Right? And then she asked you to think about what's about a fragrance or something. Actually, I lost concentration at that point. So I don't remember the exact question she asked that took you to the language. So I didn't hear the particular question.
Yeah. So, yeah, just to very quickly go back on that, I said, I am feeling stuck, that I've written quite a few books and I'm unable to get further with the next books that I want to write. And then she asked me to explain what I'm feeling. Can I put it into a more non-visual way? And then she asked me to think of a fragrance. And then I said, can I offer you a fragrance which is not of a flower?
Brilliant.
And
So-
that's how we came to mango.
Yeah, so from the idea of feeling stuck, the idea of taking you to a point where you're experiencing a fragrance.
Yeah.
And then I remember the conversation. Then I know the
Okay.
conversation.
Yeah,
So-
it started.
and then the fragrance. And while you were exploring that, did you think about the books at all, or you're immersed in understanding the contours of the mango, the fragrance? Where
Yeah.
were you at?
I think that's the interesting thing. I went straight to the mango and the smell, and Urvi did not force me to make a connection between the two.
And also, I think there's a response when you took that pause. From a body language point of view, you could see that you came out of that pause a lot more grounded.
Yeah, you're right. And that's the pause that actually made me see more.
Yeah.
And I think especially because Dr. Urvi did not force me to draw connections.
Yeah.
Till I started drawing the connections, then she asked me more. So we were happy to immerse ourselves in the non-visual. And I think that's the freedom and liberty that I had, and no pressure at all to connect it with my problem. And that allowed me to think and see more and feel more freely. So I'm glad you asked this question, Deepak.
We keep on talking about pauses, the importance of pauses in the coaching session, but I think this was the brilliant way I have seen it for the first time, that the way Urvi asked you that let's take a pause. So that was so wonderful.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so we bring ourselves back to the moment and the glass ceiling, which we need to break. Urvi, I know some of the glass ceilings you talked about from your narrative. I'm just wondering whether in our audience, they also, all of us have glass ceilings that we face as coaches. And what would be these glass ceilings that we wish to break, or we, feel we need to break? Anybody can type in the chat box, so that we have an idea. As coaches, what are the glass ceilings? We know Urvi had to face the glass ceiling of, her own disability and challenge of non-visual issues.
So
And
just quickly on that, Dexter, if I may. So very recent experience, and I didn't expect this to happen at an international level. And so I was just, as I was undergoing my mentor coach sessions, it was it was one of those, I would call it a cultural shock, but still not a very pleasant one. And wherein the trainer was not, he was just so baffled by, I disclose my disability right in the beginning, whether to the clients or to the trainers or anywhere that I go, so that there's no ambiguity, there are no misunderstandings, people know where we are and we are on the same page. So I did that, and this person was like, wow. And I could hear that. I mean, I understand that you may get flustered, you may get overwhelmed, you may get confused, or just say, why me? Why did she have to come to me?
Thank
But
gosh.
then that was so unexpected, because I was, coming from a coach who was prepared to be tolerant. So I guess in that sense, we're still breaking the glass ceilings, even in the coaching industry, as far as disability is concerned. So luckily, I took it up with the institute who has been very, very inclusive in their approach, and I could get my stuff fixed. But I was really shocked to experience something like that from a coach who is supposed to be open-minded and flexible.
Thank you thank you for sharing something so deeply personal. Urvi. And the interesting thing would be, what do we feel as coaches are the glass ceilings we face?
I would love to hear it from the audience, actually. So it's not just me, I'm sure everyone has it here.
So who wants to share can straight away unmute.
Or just one word in the chat, looking at the time that we have.
Yeah, so I can see Deepak has mentioned that most of the glass ceilings has been in my own limiting beliefs.
Okay, own limiting beliefs, yeah.
Right.
Okay, or sometimes the expectation of a client that I wanted only an MCC level to come and coach me. You are only an ACC or a PCC. So suddenly as a coach, I feel diminished. And there's this glass ceiling of, not being adequate enough, no matter how good I am as a coach, but some expectation has been conveyed to me. So I've actually experienced that. Although I'm a PCC, I was told once, it would have been nicer to have an MCC. So I was just wondering, am I not adequate?
Right, absolutely. And so Priya also mentioned that my own limiting beliefs has held me back. I think for a lot of people.
It's very powerful. Yeah, our own limiting beliefs, and we don't even know what they are.
True.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's also part of
time. Sorry, Dexter, in the interest of time,
just complete this.
No, we can continue. Can we have one picture before people start?
Okay.
And then.
Okay, let's do this, and we've come to the last slide actually about the takeaways. So, do you want the picture and then we look at the takeaways?
Yes.
Yeah, if you can do that.
Okay, superb. Absolutely. Let's all smile like we've earned $1 million.
Can you stop sharing the slides so I can see everyone and
Okay, I have to stop sharing. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we have to keep smiling, I guess, till you get a few
Yes.
frames.
Can everyone come on camera, please?
Yeah, whoever's off camera, please come on camera. We'd like to see your lovely faces.
Hey, why is my name showing Sindhuji? Can somebody please check?
Oh,
You probably used Sindhu's link.
No,
No?
I came through WhatsApp link, but my name is showing Sindhuji.
Okay, that could have been Sindhu sharing her link because it's unique to each one.
Yeah, she shared her link, probably.
Okay.
Okay, never mind.
You can change it.
I don't know right now how do I do
Aniket,
that?
Preeti, can we have you on screen? Amlesh.
No.
They're taking this non-visual literally, not being visual.
it was not to scare everyone off.
Just a moment, one more time, please.
It was not to put everyone off to a dose, not into a
Absolutely.
stupor. I hope that that's not what has happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Sindhu. Sindhu,
Thank
you
you so
shared
much.
your link with so many people, I guess.
So let's wind up with
So,
the takeaways that we would hope that people have got from this. And if you want to just put in the box what you are taking away, I have the takeaways that we are hoping you have got. So I'm just going to put them on the screen rather than hold you in suspense. And please feel free. So we've actually got the objectives back up. And also what Urvi has said is use your DIS ability as a driving force. Integrate Adrsya Rasa as a way of life, especially as a coach. Bring this unique perspective to coaching and your life. Practice the 4 aesthetic elements to transform the coaching experience and embrace the transformative potential of sensory, emotional, and intuitive engagement. So these are the core takeaways, but I'm sure there could be others, and we'd be happy to hear from you as we close this session. And say thank you to Urvi for this amazing session. Thank you for your time and the immense amount of prep that you had to do to, come and do this for us. Very grateful to you, and we're grateful to all the members who have logged in and have been contributing to this session.
thank you, Dexter. The pleasure is all mine. And I would just to add that, yeah, we were talking about glass ceilings as limiting our own beliefs limiting us. I think that's also a part of our own self-reflective awareness, which we can work on. Certainly, yeah. I think that's another topic for another day, another session.
Oh, how lovely. We'll get you
I'll be
again.
also researching on it, in fact.
All right.
That also gives me an idea. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks is to you, Urvi. This is really nice because you brought into very sharp clarity this other aspect that we tend to ignore. We know we need to do it, but we tend to ignore it because our sight is overwhelming our senses. Yeah.
We have a lot of comments in the chat box, and people are really, there are a lot of takeaways that people are getting from
So
these.
please shout them out. Tell everyone to unmute and say aloud what they are
I think
taking
because
away.
there are so many comments, so whosoever wants can please unmute.
Please unmute and say. Please unmute and say we are saying goodbye anyway. So we might as well hear your voice.
So I would like to say thank you so much, Dr. Urvi. This will stay with me. Yeah, I'm going to use this 5 senses. I'd actually forgotten I was using it maybe 10 years back, but I'll bring it back again. Thank you, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Urvi. It was amazing to see the coaching session also impacted. Would love to see, some of these terms are new for me. Would love to see if this presentation can be shared. Would like to go through the presentation.
It will be. It will be. Yeah.
Thank you.
Dexter, we can stop sharing also the presentation so that everybody
Okay.
can
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. I'm Richa Puri, and I just wanted to, thank Urvi. Not just this session, it was not just a new thing. What I felt during this session was that it took away a lot of stress from the outcome, from the problem, because while the session was going on, Urvi did not push Dexter to go back and connect it to the issue. So there was neither she was taking any stress, and she did not give any stress to Dexter to, try and relate everything. She just kept on following the process, following the non-visual clues, while making Dexter visualize everything. That was amazing. Like without and that pause, I was surprised when she uh, talked about taking the pause twice. And then after when Dexter spoke, that's when I realized, wow, that's amazing. So sometimes the pause has to be chosen at a moment. And so that's also an interesting thing I realized, that it's not necessary the pause comes because of the situation. Sometimes it is chosen because you have full faith in the process and you know that a lot of things are happening in coach's mind and you want to give them time to process it. So thank you so much, Urvi.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Anybody else who wants to say anything? I can see a lot of other messages as well. Please unmute.
We'd like to acknowledge Katerina from Ukraine, who I just saw on the chat. Welcome to this. Although we are ending, I hope you had a good session.
We really have so many people from different countries like, Cape Town, China, Malaysia, UK, Ukraine, Greece, Israel.
So yeah, I heard Mandarin and that was music to my ears. It was so amazing. After my 6 years of stay in Germany, that was the first time that I heard it here, like in an online session. So that was a highlight of the day for me.
Nice.
In terms of linguistic variety, I'm saying that was really something like felt at home.
Right. And I also like to share, Urvi, that for me the session is so wonderful. It has opened a lot of insights that how, in whatever way, when we are coaching, then we limit ourselves to so many things. Sometimes in the structure, sometimes in the process, sometimes in the the tools and a lot of other things. And how you have just played so well and demonstrated that how you can just be and let the client also be whosoever they are. So in the process of it was so flawless, so smooth and effortless, I must say. I mean, thank you so much. It's like a big thing which I'm taking today.
Thanks
So
a
let
lot.
me ask
So
Urvi's question over here, folks. What is the fragrance or taste you're going away with from this session?
Oh, thank you, Dexter. That was amazing.
Let's hear. What is the fragrance or taste that you are going away from this session? Anybody like to say something?
I think a lot of us is taking, mangoes, a box of mangoes.
Oh.
So I think it's 7:40, Dexter.
Yes, we can say goodbye. And looks like a lot of us still don't want to leave. But that's the power of attraction you've had, Dr. Urvi. Thank you for holding fort, and thank everyone for being here. So time to say goodbye, good day, good night, and see you again soon.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.